So when people start working on their portfolio projects, often what they ask me is, "Hey Anudeep, is it okay to make assumptions, right? I mean, should everything that we do in our project be completely researched and completely be data backed, or can we make some assumptions? Can we say that, hey, this is what I think might work? I'm not totally sure, but it probably can work. Is it okay? Is it allowed? Right? And especially in the beginning of the project, a lot of people, what they generally ask is, hey, Anudeep, should I start the project with a complete zero ground that I don't know anything? In fact, the user also doesn't know anything. Like, should I start from like the scratch, like with nothing which is known, right? And looks like as UX designers, we'll have to go and do a lot of research, find out about things. Only then we can start putting things out there, right? So generally people have this question, and I also talk about it in multiple calls and sessions which I take, and I wanted to talk about it today. Firstly, you need to understand one thing. As UX designers, we do not work like scientists. There's one thing which is very, very different. So let me explain that. So, what do I mean by we don't work like scientists? In science, science is basically truth, isn't it? So, in science, it is important that you prove something as it really works, right? Unless there is proof of something, you basically go and say, hey, 2 is equal to 4. You need to make sure that there is proof that every time you do 2 plus 2, the result will consistently be 4. For that, you will basically go into experimentation, you'll keep showing results, and every time you do this, the result comes out to be the same. Therefore, in scientific research, you will take forward steps only when things are proved to be true. That's how science works. But as UX designers, in fact, as designers in multiple fields, we don't just rely on scientific correctness of how things work. It's not even required. I'll tell you why. You need to understand that, especially as UX designers, what do? We work for businesses, correct? So let us say you are working in a company, they're paying you. Obviously, you're working for a business, the business is paying you, right? Which you're doing is not something you're doing for idealistic terms, right? You're not ideally providing experience to the users independent of any business. You're not doing that. You're actually working on making an experience for the users of a business, right? Ultimately, because the business can get business impact, right? Because of which you are getting paid, right? So you're a UX designer who is working for a business. Now, what happens in a business? How does a business run? You need to understand that business doesn't run like, hey, you know what? Let us go and figure out everything perfectly. Let us go and figure out if everything is scientifically right. Only then we'll go and take steps forward. This is not how businesses run. The way businesses run, for in simple terms, if I have to tell, businesses run by doing gambles. Yeah, gamble. When I say gamble, that means they take bets. They bet on what might work and what might not work. Okay, that's why when you also use the word invest, right? You're betting. You're basically betting that, hey, you know what, there might be growth, and therefore I'm investing my money on this. Okay? And that's how businesses do perform. When it even comes to product, creating product and designing a product for that, but launching a product, right? Any tech product or whatever, right? Whatever features are launched over there, it is very important that you understand that businesses are always trying to experiment and gamble whether things work or not. If you don't believe me, you'll have to understand. I'll tell you one thing, right? Most of the apps which you use on your phone, you see that they are constantly getting updates, right? And you see every update, if you go and look at what they have done for that update, every update you will see that they have fixed a bunch of things, with bunch of mistakes or bugs or features which didn't work properly and all that stuff. And every update they are launching something new, right? So this itself proves that these businesses are trying to experiment multiple things and keep changing things, multiple updates, right? They're not waiting until everything is perfectly done and perfectly proved that this is going to work, only then they're going to launch. No, that's not how businesses work, right? You need to understand, when businesses take this gamble, all that matters is, you might ask me, hey, you know what, until everything is a gamble, then it's like awesome, like then just we can do whatever we want. That's where the point lies. When it's a gamble, what you would do is you will see how riskier is your gamble. Now, if you are in a situation where you have enough money and a little bit amount of time, you can take a bigger gamble, right? You can basically not really worry about how risky it is, launch it, even if it is going to be totally a failure, it's okay. You have the time, you have the money to actually go and run a few more experiments, right? But let's say you have a little time, right? That is when you want to be a little bit like, you have lesser budget, you have smaller time. That's when you want to be sure, a little bit more sure about the things which you want to launch. Correct? Or sometimes what happens is the time is very less, but there is money for experimentation, or you are literally, the business has just left everything for luck, right? They're like, okay, fine, we are taking our best bet on this. If it works, it is great. If it doesn't work, okay, we don't have more budgets and more time on this, but I think this might work, right? So businesses can basically be bigger companies to smaller companies. Businesses are always trying to place these bets, and the only thing that matters is the degree of the risk which that particular bet is going with. You need to understand this, right? So now, Anudeep, how does all this relate to what does a UX designer do and the assumptions that they make as a UX designer? Let me explain that. So you need to understand, as a designer, as a product designer or a UX designer, if I'm working with the product team, they're always going to experiment these things. They're always going to place these bets, right? And that's what you keep. All the projects you get as a UX designer, all the business impact which they tag to, all the problem statement which if you go ahead, all of them are mostly related to the next experimentation which they would do with the particular product. If you talk to any product manager out there, if you're not working as a UX designer, you can talk to anyone who is working as a UX designer. You ask them about their current projects. They'll tell you, hey, you know what, this particular project is related to the next launch which we want to do. That means the next phase of experimentation which is going to happen, right? So now that you understand that all we control, all we try to do is to manage the degree of risk which is associated with the particular gamble, you need to understand that is exactly what UX designers do. That is, provide solutions or provide your design in such a way that you are reducing the risk of this particular gamble, right? Note down these lines: reducing the risk of the gamble, right? Not eliminate the risk of the gamble, because we are not like scientists where we are like completely eliminate, there is no risk, absolutely truth, only then I'll move forward. No, businesses don't work like this, right? Not eliminate, but reduce the risk, right? And you need to understand one thing about risk. Reducing the risk can also mean that sometimes you save time, risk is reduced. You go with better, well-researched, better way of telling that this might work, higher chances of this working, that also reduces the risk. Correct? So reducing risk doesn't necessarily only mean you getting absolutely right answers, right? But also going and reducing the time it takes for you to go and do something. That's why for sometimes companies want you as UX designer to actually not spend a lot of time on the project, spend a little time on the project, because they want to reduce the risk of the time it takes to actually even launch the project, right? So coming back, even for research, all we do is, hey, you know what? We are actually thinking this might work. Initially, we call it as a hypothesis. Even in scientific terms, before an experiment is proved, it is actually called as hypothesis. You might have actually written this hypothesis and all in your school scientific experiments, right? In your lab notes and records, if you go back, the first thing which you have written is called as a hypothesis. So even in design, we call this thing as hypothesis. We come up with our version of what we think might work, right? And then, if at all we have the resources to go and do research, obviously research is a different field, right? It is done by specialists who know research, but obviously in some companies, designers themselves try to do some preliminary research by themselves. So as designers, whether a researcher does it or you research, what you do is you go and gather some data, and all you say is, hey, you know what? Before, when we presented this hypothesis, we were not totally sure that this might work, but now that we have done some research, we are a little bit more sure that it might work. That's it, right? We have done research, we absolutely know that this is going to work. It is always going to work. No, that's not what happens, right? So you need to understand that we are having a hypothesis and we are having a refined version of our hypothesis, but it is always going to remain as a hypothesis. We don't know whether it is going to work or not, absolutely. We only have an opinion about how risky the current stage of experimentation is and how less risky what we think which is going to be launched, right? That's how much you will get. You will never get perfect answers on whether something will absolutely work or not. So yes, hypothesis means you are assuming that something is going to work. So it is okay to have your assumptions. You need to only make sure that, are you going towards an approach of reducing the risk in those particular assumptions? Do you have some arguments which you can pull from some research or some of the material which is available out there, or past experimentations which you have done, or you basically reviewed with a bunch of your peers, or you basically reviewed it with a bunch of other people in the team by talking to multiple people. Are you all aligned? Are you all coming to a stage where you can say that, hey, you know what, this is not as riskier as it was previously is. I've iterated it to a point where I'm a little bit more clear that this might work. That's it. That's it. That's exactly what UX designers should do. And in fact, even in your, let us say you're sitting for UX job interviews and stuff like that, the stories which you'll have to tell, right? When they ask you questions, you need to be very prepared with the stories of what you have done. The stories are all dependent on what was the situation which you had, what was the risk in the situation which you had, how is it that you solved that ambiguity and moved towards a little bit of clarity by going and helping the team and the business take faster decisions and slightly less riskier decisions. And it does not always include that you have done some research and proved scientifically. No, that's not what it means. And moreover, some people misunderstand it as, hey, you know what, users asked me to do this and therefore I'm doing this. Absolutely, that's not what designers do. And I'll talk about it in different vlogs about the same thing, but absolutely designers don't do what exactly users ask. You don't do that. You understand them as a designer. You don't exactly do what they ask, but you solve the problem basis what you actually understand about them and how your business benefit. Understanding users is very different from doing exactly what they ask, right? So in this manner, when you go and sit in interviews, what you do is you go and talk about the stories of how did you actually go and reduce the risk of the gamble which the business is trying to take. That is what your stories are filled with. And sometimes they're also stories filled not with any kind of research or anything like that, but the sheer amount of clarity which you hold on every small aspect of your design, all the micro aspects of how you think the users would behave, how you think this particular interface which is there over there is going to provide those interactions for all the small types of decisions which the user is going to take. The amount of clarity which you yourself show in doing that particular project and presenting that particular project in itself give a lot of confidence to the business that this probably might work, right? As I said, you giving clarity is also reducing the risk of doing that particular business for that particular business, right? So please don't assume that research will always go and solve everything for you. This is not scientific research. And on top of it, quality of research also matters, isn't it? If a specialized researcher can do very, very good quality research, right? And let us say, as a designer who has not done a lot of research, the quality of research which you are going to put in might not be enough for the company to go and trust it, right? And on top of it, you don't do quality research. You have already spent a lot of time on it, and you have spent a lot of time even making changes in designs and all that stuff. Basis not a proper thought process and not a properly thought out research. It is even riskier for the company. And sometimes that is why they ask you, don't do any research and stuff like that. Quickly give these kind of marks because you want to experiment quickly and then learn from it, right? So therefore, have this in your mind. This perspective will really explain why your product managers are asking you to quickly deliver some of these mocks. Why are they asking you not to do any of the research and stuff like that? How is that you can actually bring in data or whatever thought process and clarity from your side, right? How is that you can break things into a lot of micro and explain things in detail so that they can actually start trusting that the solution you might make might actually work a little bit better for the particular users. Think in this particular manner, and definitely you're going to do a very good job as UX designer, either trying to build a portfolio or going and sitting in an interview, or as a UX designer actually working in a company. So I hope now you have gotten a very good perspective about can you make assumptions as a UX designer. So if you're liking these kind of videos, I'll keep making more of these vlogs. My aim is to keep making these vlogs quite frequently, almost daily as possible, to share these perspectives with you. So if you want more of them, please do subscribe. Please do comment your thoughts on what you think I should keep making, on what type of topics you want to have, what are the questions you have. Please comment all those things on these particular videos, and that will give me more topics to talk about on a daily basis, right? If you like this video, please like and share it with those people whom you think also should gain this particular perspective. Thank you so much.